This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Today my topic is Charcot joint. Charcot joint is also called as neuropathic joint. It's a progressive destructive disease of the joint. The patients mainly present with dislocation, fracture, and debilitated deformities, and it's frequently misdiagnosed. It most commonly involves joints of lower limb because these are the joints where we bear weight, and so more destruction occurs, and most commonly it involves lower limb. And any condition that causes sensory or autonomic neuropathy can lead to Charcot joints. See, in the sensory or autonomic neuropathy, the sensations are lost, so due to that, destruction occurs. And diabetes is considered to be the most important cause of Charcot arthropathy. And prevalence is 0.5% and it's bilateral in 10%. And coming to the pathophysiology, the theories generally we say about Charcot joint are neurotraumatic, neurovascular theory. In neurotraumatic, any trauma or injury to the insensate joint. That means already previously the joint is insensitive, and so if any trauma occurs, it triggers the Charcot joint. And neurovascular theory, autonomic neuropathy increases vascularity mismatch, and there is mismatch in destruction and synthesis. So the vascularity causes as well destruction as well as synthesis in the joint. And the genetics involved are rank or rankle or OPG triad pathway is thought to be involved. And in shoulder, I mean, if we see individual joints, in shoulder, associated conditions are syringomyelia, Hansen's disease. The syringomyelia, it's the most common etiology of neuropathic arthropathy of upper extremity. 25% of the patients develop a neuropathic joint. Mostly it's monoarticular. First, most commonly involved is shoulder joint and followed by elbow joint. And Hansen's disease, that's leprosy, it's the second most common cause of upper extremity neuropathic arthropathy. And coming to the syphilis, usually affects knee. And syphilis and diabetics, they are most commonly they involve lower limbs, whereas Hansen's and syringomyelia they involve upper limbs. So it usually affects knee, and it can be polyarticular also. And diabetes, it's most common cause of foot and ankle neuropathic joints. And other causes are Arnold-Chiari malformation, cervical spondylosis, adhesive arachnoiditis, TB arachnoiditis, post-traumatic syringomyelia, and alcoholism. And if we see the radiograph of this shoulder, if you observe, see there is destruction of the joint and fragmentations of the pieces if the joint is seen. And in this radiograph, if you see, there is extensive destruction, and as well as there is dislocation, and the joint is not in the in place, it's not there in the socket, so there is dislocation of the joint. And coming to the elbow, as we have already seen, the syringomyelia, syphilis, and another condition, it's the congenital insensitivity to pain, and diabetes, and Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. And see, if we see the radiograph of the elbow, in this radiograph, you can see the extensive destruction of the joint and heterotrophic ossificans. See, excessive ossification is present surrounding the joint. And there is in this radiograph, if you see, there is extensive destruction of the joint, and the dislocation of the elbow is present. And in final stage, there is destruction as well as new bone formation. You can see the new bone formation here. And coming to the classification, it's Asian Mohs classification. there are the stages. Coming to the 3 stages. The stage 0, there is joint edema and radiographs are negative, bone scan is positive. So you cannot diagnose through radiographs in this stage. And in stage 1, joint edema is present. Radiographs show osseous fragmentation with joint dislocation. And in stage 2, there is decreased local edema, but radiographs shows coalescence of fragments and absorption of fine bone debris. That means this is a chronic stage. Stage 0 and stage 1 are acute stages, whereas stage 2 and stage 3 are chronic stages, because the local edema has subsided and the absorption of bone is has set in. So these are chronic stages. And stage 3 also, there is no local edema, and radiographs show consolidation and remodeling of fracture fragments. And see, if we see the pictures in this stage 0, you can see the edema of the foot. And so as x-rays are normal, only by clinically we can diagnose, we can suspect it, but we cannot diagnose it completely, because this foot swelling is seen in many conditions. And if we go for MRI, then we can diagnose. In MRI, there is marrow edema and microfractures are seen. And stage 1, there is hydarthrosis. There is the fragmentation of bone is seen. If you observe, there is fragmentation and bone resorption. In this picture, you can see bone resorption and dislocation. See, this metatarsal has dislocated. And coming to the stage 2, atrophy. In atrophy, coalescence is seen. Sclerosis, if you see the hyper-intense lesion, this is all sclerosis. And the fractures are healing. Here, if you observe, there is excessive sclerosis. And if you compare with the previous one, you can observe the healing stage is seen. And debris resorption. And coming to the stage 3, there is hypertrophy and remodeling. The remodeling has set in, and there is hypertrophy of the joints. If you see in the edges of the joint, there is hypertrophy. And presentation symptoms. In presentation, as we have seen the picture previously, the joint involved, it might be swollen, whether it's a shoulder or elbow. And 50% have pain and 50% of are painless. This painless, this 50%, it's more dangerous, because as there is no pain, the patients usually neglect it and they come in later stages. And so 50% have pain and 50% are painless. And there is loss of function due to the destruction of the joint. The function is lost. And on physical examination, if we see the inspection, the joint is swollen, warm, and erythematous, and it may mimic infection. So, we might mislead and go for infection. And if we the movements of the joint, as there is excessive joint destruction and dislocations of the joint is mechanically unstable. There is loss of active motion because there is excessive destruction, but passive motion is maintained. And coming to the neurovascular examination, neurological evaluation is must, because of the autonomic and autonomic neuropathy, the sensations are lost. And neurovascular, the blood supply also may be decreased. So we have to see the neurovascular examination. And next, after clinical examination, next step we go is for radiographs. And the recommended views are any standard view of the affected joint. If it's shoulder, then we have to see for AP and scapula Y view of the shoulder. And if it's elbow, AP and lateral view. And foot and ankle also, AP as well as lateral view we have to take. And findings, as we have seen in the previous pictures, degenerative changes may be seen, and it may mimic osteoarthritis. These are early findings, but mostly the patients come in later stages only. So the late changes are obliteration of joint space and fragmentation of the articular surfaces, as we have seen previously. And due to this articular surface destruction, it may lead to subluxation or dislocation of the joints, and the destructed pieces are scattered as chunks in the fibrous tissue. And as there is excessive destruction and inflammation, the joint is distended by the fluid, and there is surrounded tissue has edema, and heterotopic ossification is present, and they even lead to fractures. And coming to the MRI, after X-ray, we go for MRI. MRI of cervical spine to rule out syringomyelia when neuropathic shoulder arthropathy is present, and bone scan. A technician bone scan has to be taken, and the findings, it may be positive for neuropathic joints and osteomyelitis. So in bone scan we cannot differentiate between neuropathic joints and osteomyelitis. And indium WBC scan, the findings, it will be negative for neuropathic and positive for osteomyelitis. So it is useful to differentiate from osteomyelitis. And in labs we have to go for lab study. ESR and WBC is elevated because there is inflammation, and so it is also even difficult to differentiate from osteomyelitis. And coming to histology, there is synovial hypertrophy and dendritic synovitis, that is the cartilage and bone is distributed in the synovium. Because of the destruction, the bone is scattered everywhere, so the cartilage and bone is seen in the even synovium. And coming to the differential diagnosis, this is important. Like we cannot differentiate between osteomyelitis and this Charcot's purely by physical examination. See, it's difficult to distinguish from osteomyelitis based on radiographs and physical examination, because the common findings for both of them are swelling, warmth, and elevated WBC and ESR, and even technetium bone scan is also hot. And unique to Charcot's disease are indium leukocyte scan, which is negative, and but it is positive for osteomyelitis. So this is the differentiating point between osteomyelitis and Charcot's disease. And coming to the treatment, first initially we have to go for non-operative, that too in acute stages. We have to go for non-operative treatment, that is rest, elevation, protected immobilization with a sling, and restriction of activity. This is the most important thing, restriction of activity, because as the patients are active and as the patients use the joint, the more destruction occurs. So restriction of activity is important. The indications are neuropathic shoulder joint. What we do is to give rest, we do functional bracing. Functional bracing is the patient can move his joint, like he can do small activities, but the joint will be in rest. Indications are neuropathic elbow joint, and you see shoulder allow flexion extension but neutralizes valgus varus stresses. So the stresses are neutralized, but the movement is present. So that is functional bracing. And coming to the operative treatment, arthrodesis, these are like what we do. This first non-operative treatment is mainly in the acute, that is in stage 0, stage 1, and stage 2. But in the operative treatment is performed only in the chronic stages. So do not attempt during acute stages because of continued bone erosion. So there is no use even if we do arthrodesis in acute stages. It's only performed in chronic stages, that is in stage 3. It requires prolonged periods of immobilization. And some might say the total joint replacement, but it's a Charcot joint is a contraindication because there is excessive bone destruction. So there is poor bone stock and surrounding osteoporosis is present. So the prosthetic loosening and the soft tissue is also compromised. So there is no good prognosis for a total joint replacement in Charcot's joint. Okay. Thank you. This is the brief thing about the Charcot's. So what are the important points we have to remember is Charcot's joint, it's a painless arthropathy. This is the most important thing, so there is progressive destruction. I'm telling briefly. It's most commonly involved in lower limbs. And coming to the causes, syringomyelia is the most common cause in the upper extremity, that to shoulder, and Hansen's also in upper extremity, whereas syphilis and diabetes are in lower extremity. And if you see the radiographs, there is excessive fragmentation and joint destruction, and even joint dislocation is present. And even elbow also, you can see myositis ossificans is present, the joint destruction and new bone formation. And coming to the classification, there are 4 stages: stage 0, 1, 2, 3. In first stage, radiographs are completely normal, only joint edema is present, in stage 0. In stage 1, joint edema, but radiographs shows osseous fragmentation with dislocation. Whereas stage 2 and 3, in stage 2 there is decreased local edema, whereas stage 3 there is no local edema. And in stage 2, the absorption of bone debris starts, whereas in stage 3, the remodeling and consolidation happens. And you can see the clinical pictures here, the X-rays of all stages. And presentation, 50% have pain and 50% are painless. There is loss of function. And coming to the radiographs, like we have to take the standard views. And early changes, there are only degenerative changes, but late changes are important, where we see fragmentation, dislocation, subluxation, and the bone is scattered, like in the surrounding tissue, heterotopic ossification. These are all repeats. And MRI is a must in upper limb, because to rule out syringomyelia. And bone scan, you cannot differentiate between osteomyelitis and neuropathic joints by technetium scan, but indium WBC scan differentiates them. And ESR WBC are elevated. And differential diagnosis, we have already discussed it. And treatment, non-operative treatment is the most important thing: rest, elevation, protected immobilization with sling and restriction of activity, and functional bracing. Coming to the operative treatment, arthrodesis is not indicated in acute stages, that is 0 to 2 stages, and it's only indicated in chronic stage, that is in 3rd stage, and it requires prolonged immobilization. Okay, and thank you.